Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming on to another great fun-filled spotlight session on an awesome Friday with this great weather we got, right? Isn't it nice? So,
Yeah.
on today's session, we have one of our newer associates, Mr. Alfredo Cortes. He's not that new, okay? He's been around the block a few times. He knows some things. He's had some transactions. He's having some success. So, I thought he'd be a great person to come on and give us a great presentation on working with rentals. So, I consider myself a listing agent. I've done a bunch of listings, but I've never done a rental. So it's one of those things that I was really, wanted to learn about because it's another avenue of real estate that, we should be all faceted in because, we all come across people that are looking to rent or, may be looking to rent something. So Cortez Alfredo has done a decent amount of these deals, and he can give us some hands-on experience on how he's been working with them, what the requirements are, and how he's been taking care of his business. So without further ado, I'll let Mr. Alfredo Cortez take it away.
Thank you, Lawrence, and thank you to everybody in this morning. It is a humbling experience, and I thank you all for joining me this morning. If my voice gets a little bit, freaky, is that I'm just getting extremely nervous, but that's okay. It's part of the deal. First time here in Spotlight, and hopefully I'll be able to share with you guys. The nitty gritty of what I'm doing as an agent, but also helping with a little bit about or opening some of the minds about the rental or the rental space. Um, real estate rental, or you probably will you go and think, okay, how big of is the reward, or how big is it in New Jersey in particular, because it's our market here. And before that, I'm just going to give you a little synopsis of me, a little bit of my background. I came into industry, or finally got the license last year. So, Lawrence mentioned that I just new on the block. So yes, it's true. I'm just new, but it's been a fantastic year already, with a great house and a great people around me. Um, my background is I was in the life science industry before jumping into real estate full time. I do have family members that are been in the industry for a long time. I have a sister that has been pushing me to do this for long years. She's over 25 years doing this. But also, when I decided to go into the license process and all that, I interview, like all of us interview a bunch of people, and decided to go all hands on. So I quit my job, Turkey, cold turkey, and it's one of those things that I don't recommend to everybody. But I just decided I just going to leave the industry that I was and decided to come into this one, but with a lot of intention and a lot of good vibes. So that's my background. I live in Somerset. I handle most of my business goes to the what I call it the quadrant, or the that space between Union, Middlesex, Somerset, and then Harrington. So I do go north or south, but typically I go across horizontally on the map. And it's been great business by just doing that alone. Like I mentioned before, the real estate rental, and you probably will say, how big is the reward? And I always have an answer for that. It depends on how hard you work. And the reason is very simple. There is a market out there for everybody. There's a market right now that it is very high, but it also depends on how hard you want to work. If you want to try to do this on a part-time base where you just want to do one rental every 3 months, or you just want to do one rental every year, or you just want to do one rental every week, or you want to do one rental a month, the market is there for you. So I cannot tell you right now that you're going to make X amount of dollars, or that you should be making X amount of dollars, because every single one of us are different, and we all have different scenarios or different areas that we want to concentrate or wanted to do. And so money wise, it's been great for me. And I continue to do it because I always call it rental the gas for my car. And it is a cool thing. Why? Because in a regular transaction, you will probably do 2% on a, let's say, $400,000 house, and that's roughly about $8,000 or whatever the number is. But in rental, you typically get half for the month, or a full month, depending on how you negotiate. You can just get something like that. That at the end becomes probably $1,000, $2,000. So depending on the market that you're working on rentals, it could be more, it could be less. Or nowadays, where you can negotiate with the tenant, and or with the listing owner, you can just get more, get less. But it is good money still to make, especially, and for me, always one is better than zero. I'm just going to talk about two avenues in this particular rental presentation that I have. I'm just going to talk from the perspective of working with a tenant, but also I'm going to present you also working with the listing or the owner. So we're going to talk about the tenant first, and what do you do when you're working with potential tenants, or how you get them and all that. So it's probably going to be a lot easier for you to understand that, as an agent, you just like everything, you're going to represent either two sides, or you can even be dual. But in this particular presentation, just to make it easy to understand, just going to go first on the tenant side and get you a little bit of a perspective of what a tenant is, working with a tenant is all about. How do you get the potential tenants? And a lot of people, they just fight with that a lot, because they go like, okay, I don't know anybody. We all play the card that we don't know anybody. We just always play the card that, where am I going to get them, or where am I going to see them, or are they all going to knock on my door and come to my house and tell me that they're looking? No, that is not going to happen. You probably have to work really hard in order to go and get them. But there's a bunch of resources or bunch of avenues or buckets that you can just go and find this potential tenants. Of course, one of the first ones is the sphere of influence. And, that's why you have this phone that has a bunch of contacts there, that the moment that you start telling people that you are a real estate agent, and that you're working either part-time or full-time, or that you're concentrating on a certain area, people will start just potentially knocking at your door or calling you and say, oh, I was just looking for an agent, and I'm glad that you're now into the industry, so I can just go with somebody that I trust. So that probably be the very first influence or a resource that you have, which is your sphere of influence, which is the SOI. Also, there's also different avenues that you can just go. When I started, I got connected with Realtor.com, one of their programs, which is called UpCity, and it is very popular here in New Jersey. There's guys in our brokerage house that have made a lot of money on UpCity. And UpCity, what it does is very simple. That you just register with them. They send you leads that are potentially pre-qualified to a degree, to a system that they have, where you basically bid on or select if you want to get awarded that particular opportunity that is presented by UpCity. We can go a little bit more in details later with how UpCity works, and that can actually be a full presentation alone. But I can tell you right now that UpCity was at the beginning one of the sources that I have to gather potential tenants or potential opportunities for me to do rentals. So Realtor.com also has a bunch of other programs. There's also Zillow programs out there. There are also, believe it or not, there are also rental open houses out there that in some of the team members that we have here in Keller Williams Cornerstone, they do have, open house or rental listings that they might just consider doing an open house. And if you're a new agent, it would not be a bad idea just to contact that particular agent and ask if they're considering doing an open house or any help that they might have or they might need with regards to that rental, that you will be able to learn a little bit more, but also in some instances, they might be able to either let you do the open house in exchange for you just getting the potential tenants are walking in or coming in and to see this rental. Uh, Another popular opportunity for resources that I have seen is also Facebook Marketplace. For example, if you know an agent that is going to list something for rental, you can probably ask them, "Hey, you don't mind if I post this in my Facebook Marketplace page?" And then that way you will get some traction of some people that will come in and knock at your door or will call you or will tell you through a direct message that they would like to go either see the house or that they are looking and you can just connect. Uh, just to another also avenue, just to wrap that particular area about resources is there are events, there are networking, community events, and another one that it is helping me lately, believe it or not, it's my badge. I order badge through Markful. That they have my name with Keller Williams Cornerstone, and it says Realtor. And believe it or not, I walked outside on the street, and I go to places, I do my errands, and I wear my badge, and some people just come to me and they just ask me questions about the market or something like that. And that's how you can meet people. And you don't know, it might be somebody that will be probably a potential tenant that is looking for rentals. So with that said, there's plenty of resources for you to find the potential tenants. Uh, Somebody that will come to me and say, I don't know anybody or I don't know how to do it. Uh, let's get together because there's definitely plenty of opportunities for you out there to see how you can get your potential tenants or potential clients. Now, the next step that I just want to talk really quickly is just the steps to pre-qualify the tenants. And this is something a little tricky. The reason is that you're going to now deal with somebody that potentially you don't know. I mean, if it is your sphere of influence, they probably know each other. You probably know each other well or to a degree, and you might know some particulars about that person. But when you're just pre-qualifying tenants, or just the first thing that you should do is just to know them better or know them a little bit as a person, not as a client. The reason is very simple. This is somebody that you're gonna work very closely with, and then there might be some connections there, but there might be some not good connections there that you can probably say this might not be the right fit for me or for that other person. I always say that we are, in order for us to work together, we have to be in some way, shape, or form. We have to be in a cohesive unit, like in a team setup. So if that other person doesn't go well with me, or don't go well with that person, hey, it is okay. Just refer that person to another agent, or say to the person straightforward, hey, I think that this connection is not going to work for you or for me, and you just move on. Easy, simple as that. But knowing the person better will always take you to a better spot. Now, when you are pre-qualifying, one of the first questions that I ask is, are you working with an agent? And a lot of people don't ask that question. They start getting into the conversation, and then right after you just spend a few minutes or days or times with it, then you realize that the person has talked to 3, 4 other agents, and they are basically shopping around to see who they wanted to go with. Just clear the air immediately and ask the question, are you working with an agent? And this is just tips and suggestions that agents like that are surrounding us, that are working with us, are always taught me to say. This is, you learn from the best. Lawrence is here on the call. There's a bunch of other guys that are here on the call, they're here in the office, that they have just provided great tips on how to handle things like this. Like I said, you're just going to ask them, are you working with an agent? The answer is yes, the answer is no. So then you go, depending on the answer, interview the person. Are you connecting with the individual? The process is mutual. They're interviewing you, but you're interviewing them. That don't forget that this is a relationship that you're building. This is like dating. You're just going to ask questions. Simple as that. Plenty of them. Take notes. That's another thing that was important to me. I don't have it with me right here because I left them in the other room. But I have a notebook and I take notes like I was just going to school. I go and I meet somebody either on the phone or personally. I take notes, and I also tell the person, "Hey, I'm just going to take some notes so I don't forget, and I just remember what is important for you." So the person doesn't feel offended about you taking notes about their interaction. The other part of also very important on the questioning is, are they renting? Are they not renting currently? Are they looking? Are they not looking? How long they're going to look? How far they're going to look? Where they want to go? The family status? How big are they? Are there two that are going to rent? Are there one is going to rent? Is it going to be a family of five? Is going to rent? Some important questions that you need to know in order to get the information that you need. So, at this point, what you're doing is pre-qualifying, but you're also trying to find out what is it that it is ticking for them. At one of the other things that I just learned about this process with the guys that have been doing this for so long time is that also getting to an agreement with that person. Is the person willing, or the couple or whoever they are they willing to sign an agreement with you that you're going to represent them exclusively, that they're not going to go and turn around and go around the corner and just start doing business with somebody else, because you're going to put some miles and you're going to put some effort. So, bring a value proposition and try to get an agreement with this person to sign an agreement with you, so then you can just represent them and they'll be committed to you as well as you're committed to them. And that's including the agent fee that in rental most of the times is half for the first month. So you consider that. So consider yourself a professional. Okay, so then act as a professional. So then get an agreement with the potential tenant that you're going to be working with them and that they're going to be working with you. Nowadays, it's very important that you just, gas is high, your time is valuable, so make sure that you get compensated for the time that you're putting, okay? Another important about pre-qualifying is that there's some extras that you have to consider. For example, I at the beginning, when I was just trying to work with tenants, I get a lot of calls or a lot of potential clients that were also under the Section 8 program of the housing program. So get yourself familiarized with. Yes, you have a question? I saw Lawrence going like this, so I thought I
Sorry, I
might.
was waving to our
No, no,
FedEx
it's
lady.
okay. So the Section 8 is one of those sections about, one of those programs about housing programs that get familiarized with it. I'm not going to talk about Section 8 in this presentation. It will take another presentation, a fully old spotlight presentation, talk about Section 8, which is something that we will be recommending to do as well. And probably Lawrence had that already, line it up at some point to talk about Section 8, but get yourself familiarized with, as a tenant, what the tenant needs to have in order to go through this search using the Section 8 program. So it's important. Once you also do your pre-qualifying, also use command. One of the notes that I put here is that a lot of us don't use command. They use, we use other systems. That's okay, but record that information that you have. This is, hey, if tomorrow that person decides that they just change their mind and they're no longer going to look, at least that person is now in your contacts, in your information, so then you can continue that relationship with that person. And maybe 3 weeks from now or 2 months from now, they come back and they say, yeah, Alfredo, I have a great conversation with you. I like the way that you operate. Now I'm ready to go and start looking, and I just come back to you. And because you maybe maintain that relationship with an email here or a text there or some kind of a postcard or some communication that you say, hey, we met and we have a great relationship, so let's continue that. Also, it's very important that you understand what the potential tenant wishes are, what they're looking for, how much is their budget. Those are the important questions that you need to ask when you are pre-qualifying your tenant or the tenant that is going to be your client at this point. Now, I'm moving right along and I'm going really quick on this, but it's just now that we're going to go into what is called the collection of what I call it the candidate information or data. So once you decided and once you're in agreement that you're going to work, for example, I'm going to work with Lawrence, he's going to be my tenant, or he's going to be a tenant. I'm going to be working with Lawrence and he already just have this fantastic conversation with me. We like each other. We agree on the half month. We agree on everything that we need from each other. And now what you're going to do is I'm going to ask Lawrence the important questions that are related to the qualification for this person to be a tenant. And it is that I will need to collect data and information from this potential data. And it's not about asking questions. It's about physical information. And I'm talking about pay stubs. Do you have a job? What did you do? How you get paid? How much you get paid? Can you present me with pay stubs for the last 2 months, for example, or for the last months? If you get cash, can you show me bank statements that reflect that you are getting paid every month or that you're getting paid every week? So financial information is important, and that person has to also trust you that you're going to compile that information and keep it in a place that is not going to be their information being hacked or in any way, shape, or form. So assure this person that you are going to be saving this information on a file very well put together, because this is part of the information that you're going to present to an owner when you're ready to showcase the tenant. Free reports, free credit reports. Believe it or not, but all three major companies that are out there that are doing credit reports, they also give you the opportunity to do one credit report for free. So take advantage of that. So if your tenant, let's say that Lawrence is going to be my tenant or my client in this particular case, I already asked Lawrence to give me pay stubs from his job as a bartender, for example. I'm just going to ask him, hey, go into one of these three credit companies and ask for one free credit report. He will give me that report. He will give me the pay stubs. He will also probably go into the Lawrence is PF Chan, correct? That you do? So let's go to PF Chan and talk to your HR person and ask for an employment verification letter. So what I'm doing right now is I'm compiling a file. I'm compiling a case for this particular tenant to showcase to a potential owner that my client has the credentials, that it has everything that is needed for them to rent that particular property. Now, one important area also that besides employment verification, pay stub, credit report, NTN in New Jersey is very well used, and it's the National Tenant Network. And that's something that we can also do a full class on how to do NTN. But be aware of how to handle the tenant portion for NTN. And it's very simple. The only thing that you have to do is just explain how NTN works. And it is basically an application process or a platform that has an application process where that potential tenant, in this case, Lawrence, who's going to be the tenant, is going to apply, being over 18 years old of age, he's going to apply, and that NTN will give me back the next day a report about Lawrence's background as a tenant. And that is also a very important document that you need to have in order to present the potential owner of this tenant that wants to apply. So NTN is a very, useful tool when it comes down to rentals. So get yourself familiarized with NTN. It's very important. And then you're going to also ask for other financial sources. For example, like I said, if they get paid cash or something like that. So at this point, what you're doing is that you're building a file of very critical but important information about this tenant, that this is going to be your kind of like portfolio or your resume of this particular tenant to present to an owner to showcase that the person had the credentials to be a tenant. Okay, so if any questions, please let Lawrence know on the chat, and Lawrence, feel free to interrupt if any questions out there.
Hi, Alfredo. This is Kavita. I have one
Yes,
question.
please.
Do you need to register to become a member of the NTN or?
No. No, as a matter of fact, NTN, and that's like I said, it's one of those topics that we can probably do a full presentation on that. But the National Tenant Network, KW Cornerstone does have an account or does have a relationship with NTN. And the reason I'm saying that is as a tenant, for example, if Lawrence is the one that is going to be a potential tenant, I will send a link to Lawrence so he can just use that link in order to access NTN as a tenant to do the application. What happens with that link? That link is attached to Cornerstone. And then when I'm as an agent, the next day I'm asking NTN for the report that Lawrence completed, then I will have to access that using credentials that are provided by Keller Williams Cornerstone with NTN. So in reality, you don't pay for NTN. You don't have to be a member, but Cornerstone is already set up all of that with NTN, so you don't have to go through the hassles of applications or anything like that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
I hope that answers. Now, once the application is completed with NTN, so then you will get, as an agent, the next day, the report. And then the report is very specific. It goes into score. And depending on the score of that particular person or the group of applicants that are doing application together. As a matter of fact, I'm working right now with a renter or potential renter that there are three adults that are going to rent, and all three of them had to complete the application together. So it costs $40 per adult, and so they pay $120, and all three came on one report with individual data, but also data as a group. So I was able to go to NTN and retrieve the report for my client that I'm working right now. Now we want to move in right along, and I know that time is valuable, so I'm just going to go really quick on this. Property search. And some of you will say, okay, where do I have where are the resources for me to find potential inventory? Well, the first thing that you should do is just look into your MLS inventory. You know, we all have memberships to MLSs. So go into the MLS inventory on the rentals, and you will be able to find whatever inventory is depending on what the person is looking for. Also, there's a bunch of guys in our office that they do have rentals. And not because they own them, is because they have clients that they're actually ready to, or owners are ready to rent. I mean, we see people like Nina Sampat and some others are, you know, Carl, and some others are always having listings out there for potential inventory. So another source for you is just your peers. You know, the guys and gals are agents here that they also have inventory. Off market, go to Facebook or go to other platforms where you can see off market inventories, or Facebook Marketplace, or other resources, other agents, other houses, other brokerage that they do have inventory for potential houses or properties that are available for rent. So the inventory, it's important. You also have to share that inventory with your potential tenants. So in this particular case, I'm using Lawrence as my guinea pig. So I will be sharing that inventory based on the information that him and I got together. I'm going to then provide Lawrence with an inventory of the potential houses or properties that are there for him to select and to pre-qualify which ones he wants to look, and then schedule visits. Call, and this is something that it is more about me and what I've been doing lately. A lot of people, they just like to just talk to the potential tenant. They said, okay, I'm just going to book 3 places for us to go and see. And they just go into showing time immediately and they just book. It has happened in the past that I have booked showing time, and all of a sudden the agent calls me and said, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to change the status on this particular property. It's already been rented. So what did I do to change that? As soon as I get the inventory from Lawrence, who is, you know, which ones he wanted to see, I pick up the phone and I call the agents. And that's just a little tip for you guys to do. Call the agent, investigate facts, investigate why they're renting, how long it's been vacant. Gather information that is going to help you and help your client. Compensation, if any. Maybe they did not write the compensation that the owner is going to pay the commission for you or the compensation for you. So this is the discovery area. So now when you're scheduling visits, try to align places are together or they are similar, or they're close. Do a routing, do a map. I was about to say MapQuest, and I would have dated myself if I said the word MapQuest right now. But Google Maps and plug these locations. Actually, the MLS does have a area where you can just plug the locations, and you can set up a map of the routing map of where you want to go, so you can just minimize on your running around and burning gas. Now it's time to go and see places. So, and now print also the MLS. Come to the office, or if you have a printer in your house, go and print the information. And so when you go and see your client, when I go and see Lawrence and we're going to meet in front of the first house that we're going to see, I give them the MLS information. So be professional in the process. Now the selection is something that it's easy. And then at the end, it's presenting an offer. Presenting an offer. And when I present an offer with all that data and information that I compiled from Lawrence. So I present the pay stubs, I present the credit report, I present the NTN report, I present the employment letter, I present the rental insurance, or I present the Section 8 paperwork. I present all that. Why? Because the agent on the other side representing the owner will understand that my client has the credentials. So in other words, I'm going to defend, I'm going all above to presenting my case on behalf of Lawrence, my tenant, in front of that agent and that owner of the house. Why? Because I want them to get the house. I want Lawrence to be as the most qualifiable person in front of that owner in order to get the house or to get that particular property. Now, it's going to be some acceptance, it's going to be some rejections, and you have to deal with those. There will be some acceptance. Okay, fantastic. So now it's time for executing documents, signatures, deposits, rental insurance, walkthrough, the key or move date, collecting your paycheck or collecting your money that you're going to into the office so you can get paid. Now, if it is a rejection, okay, so let's start all over again. Next option, what is the next house? Keep the enthusiasm going. Do not share negative with your client. If the opportunity did not pan out, so let's say that Lawrence wanted a house on 123 Main Street, and we presented the case on behalf of Lawrence, and the owner decided to go with somebody else, that is not the end of the world. Just keep it going. Do not share negative with your client. It's more to do, more to come. So you're going to go to the next one, and you're going to go to the next one until you find one. You are going to find one. There's always one there for you. Don't forget, there's no way in the world that somebody can just get 2 rentals in one place. There's always going to be one house for you. It's going to be there. Okay, so maintain the relationship. But now let's say that you went on the tenant side and everything went well, and now you close, everything is ready, the person moved. This is something that I just learned from the guys in this brokerage here. This tenant will eventually be a buyer. Do not disconnect with that tenant. So in other words, I put Lawrence on a house or on a property that he wanted. Now he started renting. Potentially, Lawrence will be my client to be a buyer down the road. Why? Because I will continue the relationship with Lawrence to make sure that he always remember me as the guy who found him a place. I worked really hard for him. So I will do the same. And he will, when he's ready to buy, he will not go anywhere else. He will come back to me. So keep that in mind. It's something very important that I learned also from the guys in this relationship. I'm going to do a 1 second break because now I'm going to face the other side of the equation, which is the owner side. Any questions regarding the tenant-agent relationship?
I have a bit of a question.
Yeah.
The NTN, because I feel like if I'm thinking back, if someone is working on their own to find their own place, don't they have to fill out an NTN every single time they go to a new place sometimes? And that maybe perhaps the benefit of working with you as an agent is you can collect that information once and then give it to the people that you're looking for to help them, get that place?
Good question. Thank you, Jennifer. As a matter of fact, NTN does have a little trick that a lot of people don't know, and it is that when you are a tenant and you are applying and using the NTN, you have to put a location, an address, and you have to put a rental amount. I typically tell my tenants or potentially clients, like let's say Lawrence, that it is my client as a tenant. I'm going to tell him to put any address that he wants, but to put the maximum amount of dollars that he can pay as a tenant in his rent or for his rent. That way, the only moment that he applies, I already got that report. And let's say that I just went to 123 Main Street and I talked to that agent and I presented the facts, NTN report. If they decided not to give me that property or not to go with us, then I will use that same NTN report for my next one that I'm going to go in, because I'm going to tell that agent that my client is already been NTN approved. And I'm going to use the same report. Even though that the address is not the same, I'm still going to use the same report. Now, Jennifer, if I understand correctly, when the person is not working with an agent, most likely that person already went to the agent representing the owner, and that person already told them to do NTN or to try to get credit report or something, because most of the time the NTN, it's something that agents use as a part of their protocol for qualify either a tenant or a potential tenant. So I have not seen a person now using NTN that is not represented by an agent. But most of the times, the best way to handle that is to avoid the person doing multiple applications on NTN, because every time that they apply is $40 per person. Does that answer your question?
It does. It does. And then I had one more question.
Yeah,
I kind of understand you're about to get into the landlord portion of it, but when you are the client looking for a place and you get someone to come into agreement with you for helping them find a place, do they, how you said it might be half of the month's rent, is that money that is coming out of their pocket? So they're agreeing to say, okay, I'm going to have to pay first month in security with this place, but I'm also going to take half of that and give that to you. So that is a conversation that you're having to have with the client to say, you're going to have to really, truly pay me to find your place.
You hit it right on the nose. Also, in that conversation that you have, which is a very difficult conversation to have with a potential tenant, you have to be very upfront and make them aware of the financial burn that it is renting. And I give you a scenario. In some cases, it's going to be, let's say that the rent is $2,000, okay? So most of the deposit in New Jersey, by law, as an owner, you're allowed to ask for up to 1.5 of deposit. So imagine, now we're talking about $3,000 on deposit alone, okay? So the rent first month is $2,000. The deposit is $3,000, so that's $5,000. Then the first month of rent, the agent compensation, which is half of the month, which is another $1,000. So when you start looking into potential somebody moving and having cash or having those funds available, we're talking between $6,000 to $10,000 easily for a person just to move as a renter. And a lot of people do not have that money. I mean, when you start talking to them about working with an agent and also getting that amount of money ready in order to move, a lot of people do not have that money. So that's for rental or for somebody, let's say that Lawrence doesn't have that money, that creates a burning it into somebody that is looking for a place to live. the fact that they need to have X amount of dollars in order to move to a different location. So it's a difficult conversation to have. The best way to do it is just to be upfront and be extremely polite, professional, but also you have to be very open with the person and tell them, hey, and that is not even, let's say $6,000 to $10,000, and that is not even considering rental insurance, moving, and utilities. And some of them will require a deposit in order to do utilities. So, when you start looking into some of the numbers, it can definitely get up there in a number in order for somebody to rent.
Okay. And then similar to how when we're talking about buying and selling a house, the same way how the seller can pay the buyer's agent, does it happen occasionally where you're in agreement with the client that the landlord that you do ultimately find may ultimately pay that amount? Because sometimes I'm sure they have their own fees separate from you working with your client, but can you sometimes get that landlord to take care of that fee for that client is what I'm asking.
Very good question. And that's why, and if you remember during the what I was just mentioning, that's why I pick up the phone and I call agents. Because, for me, just to schedule a visit, I can just go into showing time and I schedule a visit and go. But I like to talk to the other agent on the other side, the one that represents the owner. Maybe they're on the fence with regards to potentially paying me as a tenant agent my compensation. And my tenant will probably feel a lot better that I already negotiated less amount of money that they just have to pay. Because now the owner will pay me for that. So, pick up the phone, call agents. You never know. They might be open to that. They might be open to the opportunity that the owner will pay out of their pocket, out of their first month or whatever the money they're going to make, my compensation. So pick up the phone and call. It's going to be a fantastic opportunity for you to do it. I'm just going to go really quickly on the owner side, and I know that I'm running out of time.
So real quick, Alfredo,
yes.
I do want to, so this has been a great session. I don't know about the rest of you, but I learned a lot, especially about working with the tenant side. So what I would like to do is to bring you back to do a part 2.
Oh, okay, excellent.
This way we have more time and we can have, we can answer more questions and we have, we can get through the information without kind of rushing through it. I'd love to bring you back a second time. I love how you did your first time. Let's give it up for Alfredo, everybody. You did a great job today.
Good job, Alfredo.
Thank you, Alfredo.
Hey, I have a quick question,
job.
everyone.
Please do.
Real quick question.
Sure.
The tenants, as you said, 18 and above, everybody should be on the lease, right? And what is the reason for that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part of the question.
What is the reason that every person 18 and above should be on the lease and get the credit check in the household? Let's say there's a couple, right? They have two sons, which are 17, 18 and 19, 20. The people, a lot of times I get the back that, no, we are not going to put our sons, only husband and wife or only husband. So how do we deal with that objection?
Very important question. And the reason is most of the owners, if it is not everybody in particular, everybody, they want to know who's living and how responsible they are in case that something happens with the primary person that it is responsible for paying. Believe it or not, in New Jersey, anybody that is over 18 is considered an adult. So for those reasons, they're just have to be part of the contract, and they have to be part of the application as well. I give you a scenario, and with this one, I finish on the explanation. Is that I'm working right now with a mother, boyfriend, and son.
Wow.
And son is 19 years old.
Mm.
So all three of them 18, all three of them, they had to apply through MTN together. And it was $40 per person. And they asked me that question, and I said, unfortunately, it's part of the requirements now in New Jersey where, if the person is over 18, They have to be there, and they have to be noted on the NTN and also on the contract.
And are their incomes all considered to be a part of the application fee as far as paying money back? Does that maybe assist them in getting a better place if they have more people on the application?
In reality, what it does is that the NTN groups them and puts an average on the number or the score that you get. Let's say that it is 3 people, and all three get between all 3 of them they get 92, but one was probably 100, the other one was 90, and the sum and the calculation that NTN does gives you a group score, but it also gives you the individual scores.
Excellent.
Now, NTN, and just to finish here, is that NTN gives you the breakdown is from 100 to 80, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's considered green. From 79 to 60 is considered yellow, and then anything that it is 59 of or less is considered red, or trouble. Put it that way. I do not discriminate. I do not say anything with regards to the colors or the scores. I basically tell my tenant that, and if they want a copy, I can probably showcase the copy, but I can tell them that, hey, this could be a little bit of a situation here. What happened before? Actually, when I get a bad score on the NTN, I normally go back to my client and I ask the questions. I go for, let's say that Lawrence had a 60 score in his NTN. And I go back there and I ask the question and said, Lawrence, what happened here? In 1993, you did not pay rent for 6 months, and it is here in this report, for example. I'm just making this up, but let's say that Lawrence a few years back was in an eviction or had some issues or did not pay on time. What happened here? And he said, well, I have a family situation. This is what happened. Then I can probably ask Lawrence to prepare a letter that he will explain what happened in that particular situation. And that letter will go with the NTN report to the agent on the other side and say, hey, you probably will see that is an NTN report. Lawrence had a little bit better score, or this particular instances, he had an issue. But he wrote a letter and he notarized the letter saying that this was a legitimate issue that happens with him. And they might consider that as a one-time event or one incident event or something that they won't not care too much about it, and they will be willing to give them the opportunity because one bad incident that he had.
So the person, yeah, it's a very good answer. Thank you so much. One more thing, very important. I had in past was people showing no income who has businesses, but they are earning really good. And NTN would, I don't know, did not do NTN. They didn't want to do NTN. How do we proceed with those kind of business owners, and we know that they're making money, they show us W2? What do we show the landlord basically to put there?
That's why picking up the phone and calling the other agent helps a lot of the issues. Why? Because then I will sell that as a proposition to the other side, to the other agent, and say, hey, by the way, my let's say Lawrence, once again, Lawrence has his own business of he's a rubber bartender. He just have a mobile business of bartending, and he just goes and he's a 1099. He's his own businessman. He makes a lot of money. I have a bank statement, for example, from him, or I have a credit report from him. He will not do NTN because he has not been a tenant. But in this particular situation, he will need to just rent for 2 years, year or two. So he will now go through NTN. And then I present that case into the other agent and will allow the other agent to give me his perspective with regards to NTN. At times, they probably will say to you, don't worry about it. As long as you present other facts or other information, that will be enough or sufficient. Or they will say, hey, without NTN, we can now go. And then I will notify Lawrence about the answer from the other agent regarding their prerogative of going with the NTN or not.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, thank you.
My pleasure.
I'm sorry, can I ask one more question? Is NTN, are their checking is just about your previous residences through rental, or they also are roping in credit stuff as well?
Both.
Okay. So
Yep.
so for instance, because I am currently now renting, after I lived with my parents, I literally I bought a condo, and then from there I bought another condo, but now I got a divorce and now I went to a rental. So I didn't have any rental history, but then I do have, credit score stuff. So how would that, I mean, I did fill out one. I guess it gave me a positive score, but if you don't have any rental history, as I did not, how does that impact you?
Good question. The NTN will pick or select a bunch of different criterias. They also can even give you a background check if you have any issues with the law. So this report is a very comprehensive report that comes out that is including a bunch of different situations that are related to either your persona as an individual, or you as a renter, or you as an owner, or you as a person that have credit. So it combines a bunch of different things that are in that report. Now, also I want to mention this because it's important, and it did happen to me in the past. The NTN report is not the law of the land. Okay, is not the final word. The reason, NTN also makes mistakes. Okay, I have got reports in my hands of, let's say, Jennifer Anderson. Okay, so NTN decided that somebody that was just working on the report put some other Jennifer Anderson information in my report, because then when I matched the Social Security with Jennifer Anderson, did not match the Social Security with this Jennifer Anderson that I'm dealing with. So be very careful when you get the report that all information that it is there belongs to the person that you are representing, and that person also confirms that it is their credentials and their information.
Yeah.
Why? Because it can definitely make it or break it.
Yeah, that's an important point, because me and my generic name, that could definitely be a problem for me.
And
I have seen
I
yes.
use your name because it was just right there, that little square that said Jennifer Anderson in my screen, and I said, oh, this is a very common first name and last name. So yeah.
And yeah, I have seen a lot of names in one of the reports, and they wanted extra information from that guy to confirm that's the name, because the common names are really tricky with that. The Indian reports come really weird, and they have to actually go further to verify their name.
I got a situation one time where the person that I was working with in their report came that the person was a child molester. And it was completely the wrong name, wrong first name, wrong last name, and wrong social security number.
Go.
So that could definitely be very impactful. But
Yes.
also NTN, to their defense, NTN has a 188 number or 100 number that you can just call and speak to a person on the phone, and they will be willing to review whatever needs to be reviewed, run it again, or give you credit for whatever mistake or error they have made. So they like to work with us, the agents, because they know that they're not perfect, but it is a system that it is the most common system that it is used here in New Jersey.
Will NTN actually talk to you as an agent on a client's file?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, if you identify what the error is, let's say Lawrence filled out the form, he paid the 40. He sent me a message at night and said, Alfredo, I completed my application. Then I'm going to reply to him and say, don't worry about it. Tomorrow morning, I will get the report from them. I just get the report. I sent a message. It's actually, you have to request to NTN the process through an email. So you request the report, you fill out the form, they send you the results, you go in, and let's say that the name is not Lawrence. Let's say that it is Alfredo Majet instead of Lawrence. Okay, so then I go and I check that the report is not correct. Then I go and I talk to NTN. They say to me, well, this is the information that your client provided, or oh, I'm sorry, we made a mistake, or we put a wrong number. I mean, don't forget, this is all about numbers too, because Social Security numbers, I mean, somebody probably put a 6 instead of a 7, or put a 5 instead of a 6. So things like that can happen. And then you just get into agreement with NTN what will be the next step. They either will run it correctly, they will review the application again and they will run it correctly, or they will ask the person to fill out a new application, that they will waive the $40, or that they just going to say to you, hey, this is the only information that we have, and then you have to confront the potential tenant. It did happen one time to me where the person was not on front with me with the situation as a previous tenant. I got the report, the person got a 10 on the score. So that's a big time red. I went and confronted the person and I said, hey, when you and I spoke and I asked all the important questions, you never mentioned anything that you have an issue or a potential eviction or an eviction. She started telling me the story of her life at that point, but it was right after I uncovered that she was having issues with her situation as a tenant. So this can also, when you're doing background checks, you will uncover a lot of things that are really important about other people. Any other questions?
So what would you do in that situation?
I probably will tell the person that that I would love to continue working with them, and that we will continue trying, but that the search will probably be a little bit more difficult, because now we will try to find a owner or an agent or an owner that will accept her current conditions as a potential tenant, which are not favorable for her.
Okay.
So I will not drop her. As a matter of fact, I did not drop the person at all. The person understood that her situation was an issue or a whammy against her, and she voluntarily decided to say, you know what, I'm just going to wait a little bit more until I get my background a little bit better, or I get a better scores or something like that. It was a happy amicable departure, but I did not draw the person because I still thought that it might be somebody out there that will able to rent. I knew the difficulties about it, because it's even when you're in a perfect score and at times you will not be the one selected. Imagine then that you just bring a little bit of a difficult background in front of another agent that person has. Most of the times, landlords and agents, they are going to try to go with a person that has the best qualifications and best.
How many years back does the NTN go? Does it go?
Oh, I don't know. That I will need to check for you. I don't know that information.
Okay, thank you.
Well, all right, guys, I think we had a great session today. We definitely went way over time, but it's good that you guys are getting your questions answered, and Alfredo is here to be an assistance. So I do appreciate Alfredo coming on today and doing a great job on his first presentation. Good job. And look out for part 2 of this session, because I will have him back on next month. Sometime next month. I have to look at my calendar again and figure out the spotlight schedule. But he'll definitely be back on to give us the other side of things and give us some more insight, maybe some more experience, because by then I'm pretty sure he'll have another transaction or two. So we'll hear all about it from then. Okay, guys. So thank you all for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I hope you all have a great weekend.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Alfredo. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.